Hello, everybody. Uh, oh, okay. So, glad y'all can make it today. I am Brian. This is my stream. If you are a longtime watcher of our stream, I do apologize for the awesome graphics. Like I said, it's taken me, I don't know, $1 million to fix that. No, actually, I'm testing out my new server that I bought. This stream and everything on it is currently running on my new big fat Greek server. What? Um, no, it's I bought the hello CPO Parker. How are you? Yeah, I bought a refurbished box. I think I've talked about this a few times. I put Linux on it and spent, I would say, a good week and a half trying to get it to work with Linux because I was like, oh, it'll be so much better because, Linux. No. Um, to be perfectly blunt, Linux is not ready for streamers. And I'll go to my grave for that. I need per application audio without having to use ALSA, OSS, jack, and Pipewire. I don't need 4 audio subsystems to do my freaking stream. So, everything else worked great. I actually was when I first tried doing this about a year ago with another box, getting invec working on the stream so that I didn't eat up my CPU was nightmarish. It actually wasn't too bad this time with Ubuntu 22, but just was easier putting Windows 10 on it and then finding out that I couldn't put Windows 11 on it and then figuring out a way to bypass Windows 11 CPU and TPM checks. And then I got Windows 11 on it. So that worked really well. I don't have a second monitor. So what I'm looking at right now is my laptop with TweetDeck open and my screen with OBS on it and everything, but it works nice. Everything's working great. Oh, the other thing with Linux was it sounded like a jet engine, and I mean the sound was palpable. I mean, I could hear it in my office, and I couldn't control the fans. And yes, I'm sure I could have installed yet another piece of shit. I'm biting my tongue so hard it's virtually bleeding. In what way, YTT? Do I look or sound like shit? I'm not frozen. I'm just waiting. YTT, it's exactly as I said in Discord. If I wanted to do some light web browsing and document management or editing, Linux is perfect. But I have tried moving to Linux for about a year and a half, and I don't want to have to try to edit fucking build compilations and oh well, if you just install these 8 million packages then you'll have audio, and I'm like, fuck that noise. I got up and running on Windows in a day, and it's working. I have per app audio via OBS 2801, which did not have that in Linux. So hate me all you want. I look forward. Yes, excellent. Your hate feeds me. Look, I'd love to use Linux. I'd love to use OpenBSD again if I could, but it just will not work for what I need it to. And that is what it is. Oh, I hate everyone equally. The funny thing is, yeah, like I said, if I wasn't streaming, I would use Linux on a daily basis. I mean, the audio works great. The problem is the specific use cases I needed for OBS isn't working. And no amount of discussion or reading up on things like, oh, I don't know, jack control or pavu control or all this other bullshit, it's like, oh, I can, pavu control virtual audio, There's so many things on there about pulse audio and ALSA and OSS and pipe and all this stuff. And it's like, I installed this and I was trying to make this work, and I set up, S-end loops and loop backs and virtual syncs and, read about pack control and I just could not get that shit to work. And it's not for lack of trying, but what I wanted was I wanted this, but this wasn't working for me. It just kept popping up as these virtual syncs would connect to a Bluetooth connection that it was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why is it connecting to a Bluetooth device that exists? And yeah, so one of these days, it will not be this day, but one of these days I will figure it out, and it will be like a thunderbolt from above, and I'll be extolling the virtues of Linux, with everything that I do. So I apologize for all the Linux lovers out there. The plain fact of the matter is, it was not a good fit for me. So, YTT. Yeah, I probably do need a 7-year-old to teach me. I'll take my DeLorean and my 7-year-old self and go back and figure it out. But for a TPM like myself, I could probably accidentally drop my laptop and tell them to give me a Linux laptop, and I would be peachy keen, a-okay, worky for me. But yeah, it was just a really weird work or fringe use case, and yeah, I mean, it wasn't for lack of trying. I mean, I really liked the fact that I could remote in using remote desktop and all these other things. There was a lot of great things to do with Ubuntu, and I was happy that CUDA, that the NVEX stuff worked kind of out of the box without any major issues. So, it's just one of those things. So, I even have my notifications and my fancy ass little box down here telling me all about our cheers. So I actually didn't know that we were actually about to hit a milestone. If we have 300 more cheers, then we get a fun milestone thing. Little note, little message that pops up here is like, ooh, it's awesome. So. Thank you all for everybody for their cheers and their subs. And I'd also like to thank Perfect Average for YTT. Yeah, see? Oh, I actually got the yeah, there you go. See? Ding. Thank you, YTT. You're too kind. There we go. I made the announcement thing a little bigger. So Perfect Average joined or followed yesterday. A Sound Tech also followed, I think, during our stream with me and Mr. Betcher. For those of you who might have missed that stream, we talked about the Uber breach, which everybody has been talking about the Uber breach. And I think we would have been remiss if we had not have, just because, it gives people who've never heard of our podcast a potential to listen to it. So, I think the biggest thing out of that from especially Mr. Betcher and YTT's thoughts on it were that, actually, I did see something from Frank McGovern. He had, one of his posts had gone viral, and he ended up, let me see, Frank McGovern. He had found, there it is, that let me see, where is it? Which one was, here it is. He had found like 3 days ago, this was on the 19th, so yesterday, like Thursday or Friday afternoon, Uber had put out a bunch of new security jobs available, including an investigations job, threat detection engineer, enterprise security, and AppSec people 3 days ago. All of these happened 3 days ago. It was interesting this happened on the same day that the breach apparently had occurred. So yeah, it was pretty funny. But yeah, his post went a little better than viral, or possibly viral. Better than anything I ever get, because none of my shit ever goes viral. But Yeah, it was kind of funny how he ended up getting that. So, yeah, it was the biggest news was, according to Hacker News, Uber is now blaming Lapsus hacking group for the recent security breach. So I don't know why it matters. Who gives a shit? If it was Lapsus or like, YTT 7-year-old that's about to teach me Linux, it doesn't matter who breached you. You got breached. That's the point. Are you expecting, I don't know, pity? Are you expecting, are you expecting it to, for your insurance? My point is, it doesn't matter who breached you. You got breached. And they are in rare company. Microsoft, Cisco, Samsung, Nvidia, Okta have all been breached by this org, or by these bad actors. Apparently they, have been a little bit underground since March 2022, when City of London arrested seven suspended Lapsus gang members. From what I had read, the 18-year-old had been talking to like the New York Times and what have you, about what was going on. Wow. Well, that's a little bit brighter now that I've taken my my laptop down. About what had been done. Really felt like, see, the hacker behind the Uber breach, moniker is Teapot, has also claimed responsibility for breaking into Rockstar Games. Oh yeah, Rockstar Games was hacked this weekend too. So early Grand Theft Auto 6 footage. Wow, they stole some videos of gameplay, I guess. Third-party access confidential information, 90 videos of clips from the game. Okay, I guess that's good. I don't give a shit about Grand Theft Auto. But yeah, I mean, if you claim an APT, then you can claim inevitability. If you got hit by some pimply-faced kid in mom's basement, that's harder to swallow. That's true. Wouldn't being hit by an APT or a Lapsus mean? Are you trying to say that it was an advanced kind of thing to kind of say, well, we're not completely ass over elbows with regards to, our security practices, so it took a really dedicated, really top shelf attacker to hit us? Or is it like you said, some, pimply faced kid in a mom's basement? Yeah. That I can understand that kind of narrative if that's what they think is going to help them with their insurance, or what have you. I mean, if they actually capture the people that did the deal and can prove that those folks did it, I guess they could go in on whatever damages that Microsoft and Okta and Rockstar Games and other folk. Well, I don't know if Rockstar has been hit by Lapsus, but the other companies, other orgs. But yeah, so we recently suffered a network intrusion, which an unauthorized third-party accessed and downloaded CI from our systems, including development footage from the next Grand Theft Auto. I guess that's important. I would hope that it's, how can you tell? They're all kind of the same game, aren't they? So we do not anticipate any disruption of our live game services nor any long-term effect for our development. The other thing is Rockstar might actually have good bad guy detection capabilities. And they, thought that they were going to be able to hit Rockstar the same as they hit Uber, the same as they hit other orgs, and it failed. So that just a little supposition there, but the fact that all they were able to come away with was some video clips from a development build game, then might actually be a good thing. Maybe Rockstar is taking what happened. Uh-oh. Oh, thank you so much, Kimisek. Yeah, 6 months. Yeah. Brakes allow us to go faster. That is true. Yes it does. Brakes do allow us to go faster. Okay, good. I can probably boink. All right. So but yeah, yeah, I appreciate what the folks at Uber are having to go through, especially their blue team. There's probably more than a few folks there that have, spent all weekend there in their clothes and trying to figure out how to shore up systems and not able to go home. And um, I feel for them, but that's also the same reason I got out of that kind of work and went into management. Luckily, I've never had to deal with that. I don't actually, if that phrase came from your podcast or another cybersecurity podcast a while ago. You know what? I have heard that before as well. Brakes allow us to go faster. Brakes allow us to go faster. Yeah. So I'd heard this in the context of, why do cars have brakes? Because it allows them to go faster. Yeah, if we didn't have brakes, we'd all drive very, very slowly. Brakes give us flexibility in stopping when we want, where we want, and how you want. So, that's an interesting concept, Kimisek. You talk about brakes make us go faster. I think we may have mentioned this as part of a security podcast, but yeah, if you've got those kind of controls in place, you can actually, the idea is you're supposed to be able to go faster, or, certain technologies should allow you to go faster. I'm not a fan of using my last name in current remarks. Conversely, to break is to admit defeat. Yeah, I mean, to break is to slow down. It's to, yeah, I mean, if the idea is to go fast, make mistakes, break things, yeah, often to the detriment of others. That does make sense. But yeah, it's one of those things where you're going to learn the hard way, right? Your car is the best car until it's not the best car. That was an analogy being used on whatever podcast was used. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember, Kimisek, if we used it or if it was somebody else. In football, all the pads allow you to do is hit harder. That is true, CPO. Yeah. Yeah, there's a the only caveat to that, CPO, is I'd be like, Aussie rules football. Some of those folks hit hard, and I would imagine they still wear, like, I want to say they wear like the little bitty helmets, but I've seen enough of those games. I'm like, I don't know how they don't come out without having brain injuries or something. Maybe it's just they know how to tackle differently. And the way they tackle is different. There's something to be said for that. North Koreans are spreading a Trojanized version of the PuTTY client application. A threat with North Korea access has been found leveraging a novel spearfish methodology. Trojanized versions of the PuTTY SSH and Telnet client. I don't think we need to mention the fact that it's a Telnet client anymore. I think it's fine just calling it an SSH client. A Google-owned threat intelligence firm, Mandiant, attribute the new campaign to an emerging threat, UNC 4034. UN 4034 established... Oh. My Google Home Mini said something to me. Because I said the word Google. So yeah, they're creating a malicious ISO package. Wow. With PuTTY. So if you download putty.iso, probably bad. Don't use it. Got to be tough when even your butterflies want to kill you. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Boxing gloves allow the boxer to hit harder. Um, yeah. The funny thing was I had used Putty for years, and it was on some kind of janky website where it was like you couldn't, it wasn't easy. It wasn't like putty.com or something like that. It was always like greenend.org.uk /SG Tatham / putty or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it has always looked kind of janky like this, but I mean, that's some of the appeal and lure of it. But it's hard to believe that Putty is 15 years old? Yeah, at least 50. I have been using it for 15 years. So it's probably been around longer than that. But yeah, it was always this weird website. It wasn't like putty.com or putty.uk or something like that. It was just some weird deal. I still imagine that this is running on some guy's system at, sitting in under his desk at home or something like that. But yeah, I wonder how much money he's made on this. I bet he hasn't made a red cent. But yeah. Putty's portable. Yeah. Well, see, Y2T, if you get putty.iso, it's probably the North Korean version. So, yeah. No, you're right, CPO Parker. It's, it's easy maintained website. There's not a ton. Let's see what all's in here. Yeah. I mean, it could be, chock full of garbage JavaScript and what have you. But there's just something from Google here, which is probably a cookie or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's a fairly clean website. It's probably easy to maintain. Yeah, it's not hard to do. Probably like a GitHub page in similar fashion. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for simple. There should be, he could have had a Flash, he could have had Flash or something running on it. Yeah, I used Putty for years before there was an SSH client that was available native to Windows. Yeah, what I would have loved to have had 10 years ago was native SSH server on Windows that wasn't WRQ Reflections or some garbage like that. So, actually, WRQ Reflections is the reason that I'm kind of in security, or put me on that path. When I worked for the defense contractor, well, even before that, I was a government civilian in the Navy in San Diego, and the application on our NMCI boxes, which at the time was the largest network ever conceived in the before times, before clouds and stuff. Nowadays, NMCI would have been nothing to set up, especially with things like Okta and FIDO keys and all those things to set up. But we had CACs, common access cards, to be able to put into card readers, to be able to log into things. This was in the before times, before, YubiKeys were a thing, and we had WRQ Reflections running on our box. And what I wanted to do was to be able to SSH out to my server at home, because that's where I would, have music and stuff that I could listen to, and I would SSH to my box, and then I could, stream the music. But I couldn't stream. I couldn't SSH to the box. You could, with the permissions that you had, they had Reflections, the software, locked down to only use FTP. And at the time, I was just a little IT weasel, didn't know what I was doing. And I was a GS11 IT weasel, so but I was actually running port scans in the environment to see if I could figure out what would be an outbound port that I could use to connect to things. And all of a sudden, I lost the ability to get on the domain. I didn't think anything of it until the next morning when I still couldn't get on the domain. So I called the help desk, and they were like, they looked at my account, and they were like, "Oh yes, somebody will be contacting you shortly." And I was like, "Okay." So they called me back, and they're like, "Hi, this is NMCI security. We know that you can't get onto the domain." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And they're like, "Do you know why?" And I was like, Could it be the port scanning I was doing yesterday? And they were like, there was a pause. They were like, huh, oh, we expected you to, yes, that is why. And I was like, well, okay, great. What do we do about it? Because I was like a GS civilian. I was like, they're not going to fire me, right? So basically, it put me in timeout for 24 hours, so I couldn't do anything. So I just logged into my legacy box and continued doing work. But I finally got up to like the head of security for NMCI, Navy Marine Corps Intranet at the time, that would, asking them why we couldn't use SSH because it's far more secure than using the FTP or the Telnet client. And they wouldn't tell me why. And at that point, it was like, oh, okay, I need to know why. And that's when I found out things like, oh, you can, burrow through firewalls and, open up ports and do port forwarding and all that shit. And then it was like, okay, now I understand why. And that kind of lit the fire into me as, hey, security at the time was kind of cool. That's, I don't want to say it's an origin story, but I mean, telling somebody, oh yeah, we can't tell you why you can't use the SSH stuff. My world might have been a little different if they'd have said, well, we just have a policy against using that kind of software on these environments, but it is what it is. So, so Rockstar was hacked. If you really give a shit about GTA 7 or whatever the hell it is, I'm sure those videos will be leaked somewhere. North Korea, go grab yourself a fancy copy of Putty, because here's the write-up for that. I will put that in our chat window here. Doink. There we go. Operation Dream Job. Okay. All right. So, Operation Dream Job. North Korea hackers spotted targeting job seekers with Mac OS malware. Okay. Lazarus Group's been observing targeting job seekers malware capable of executing on Apple Macs with Intel and M1 chipsets. Why only Apple Macs? Well, there you go. Apple now has malware, so that's good. I mean, they can't be all snooty and say, well, Macs don't get malware, Macs don't get things. So that you've got those. PDF decoy, or no, it's a decoy file with a PDF extension, is in reality a Mach-O executable that functions as a dropper to launch Finder Fonts Updater. Okay, which in turn executes Safari Fonts Agent, a downloader designed to retrieve next stage payloads from a remote server. Wow. Okay. Well, the North Korean hackers have been busy. Sorry to tell you, Y2T. So far, Windows 11 hasn't gotten any malware on it yet. I just poking a tiger. No, it gets all the malwares. No. Well, hold on. Let me type it in. It's 67, and I think it's 123. There you go. Get it. Get after that. Just beat the hell out of that IP address. You'll find that you can ping me directly. So, you have at that. Run whatever payload you want to run on that IP address. For those of you who are wondering why I put that, so 127.0.0.1 is a /8 address. So anything with a 127 address currently in 2022, I actually expect to see that change in the near future, where 127.0.0.1 may become a /16 or a /24 or something like that. There's no need to waste, 10 million IP addresses. I'm not exactly sure how they would change it, but that's another 10 million network addresses that they could use. At least 9 million addresses they could use. Well, okay, so Y2T, what would it break? I mean, how many people are using, I'm using 127.67.67.123 on my network somewhere. I mean, what would that break? Would it require a change to like the TCP protocol? I mean, I'm sure the RFCs have it down as, anything in that area. There must have been a use for the /8 on 127.0.0.1 at one time. I've always wondered that. I don't know what it would break if if the stuff that it would break is like old technology nobody else is using. Why 127.0.1 is so damn big. Yeah, it's a loop back. It's localhost, right? How does 127? It's a loop back address in the same manner as establishing one with any remote computer device on the network. System admin, yeah. 1270, yeah. If any public switch router or gateway receives a packet addressed to loop back, it's required to drop the packet without logging the information. Okay, great. As a result, if the packet is delivered outside localhost, by design, it will not accidentally arrive at a computer, which will try to answer it. The aspect of loopback helps ensure network security is maintained. Okay. Host entries, right? Special use, yeah. IPv6 has something similar. Private use. Data, public data network, cable television networks use 24 dot. I didn't know that. 39 dot is reserved subject to allocation. How old is this dot? Because I thought they said they were out of IPv4. Interesting. Yeah, reserve subject to allocation. Interesting. Yeah, 169.254 is another link local kind of thing. Let's see. What's the equivalent of 127.0.0.1? That's the equivalent, or : 1. Yeah, I don't know if. Let me see what he say. Jumping on quick to say hey and to add a viewer. I'll be muting this as I take this cloud thingy. Okay, thanks, Beta Wolf. How much it would break if you have a net mask that's /8 for your loopback, then security go boom. Haha, now read my comment. Jumping on quick to say hey and to add a viewer. I'll be muting this as I take this cloud thingy. Okay. You couldn't get to new sites without changes. Some local firewall software think it's local and therefore trusted. Exactly. Yeah, I'm not saying it wouldn't be a pain in the ass to change the logic inside of the Ciscos and the Blue Coats and the Fortinets and what have you. But if it comes down to it and we need those 10 million IP addresses, then that's going to be a thing. I mean, we're still using IPv4 to this day, but yeah, you're right. Every router and every switch and every firewall on Earth. That is true. That would break a number of things. Yeah, even stuff that couldn't necessarily be patched that was still in service. That would be painful. So, all right. Well, we'll just all go to IPv6 then, and solve all of our problems. So there you go. It makes it. There's a lot to be said for some kind of earth shattering changes to TCP/IP stacks. Let's see if I've added that up here. Let me see. Targeting. Okay, cool. IPv6 would be easier, but they've been promising me we were out of IP addresses since 1996. I actually only saw that the fact that we were out of IP addresses was 2017 or something, when I think it was Afrinic, the African Nick, handed out the last /24 or /8 or something like that. So Um, actually, by giving them out to all the companies, you're going to find there's a lot of companies that don't need them, and it's going to open up a, you know, sell off or whatever. You know, Microsoft's going to be able to sell off any /8s they don't use or what have you. I'd imagine. Yeah. Let me see. So for those of you who watched the stream last Sunday or I didn't want the stream to feel like it was negative and that security doesn't matter. I just think that we need to be realistic about our what we expect security to get out of, or people to get out of security. You know, we have a lot of people that are new to security, and they, you know, either they have heard of security from people they work with, like, hey, these are security people, they do a lot of awesome work, or God forbid they, you know, watched some damn hacker movie and thought that that's how hacking works, or Mr. Robot and thought, well, that's for me. There are wins that we can create. I think that there are ways to move a needle. Now, I don't know if it's the needle we all assume that it is going to be. I don't know why I'm playing with this, because it's just nothing but bad stuff that's going to happen if I drop any of that. So I'm just going to put that down. I just wonder if we are moving the right needles. You know, Mr. Betcher and I, at the end of the podcast, we talked about we don't have a good handle on business impact well, some of us don't. And that's where, you know, the marketing and the PR people tend to lap us quite a bit, not lapse us, lap us, on how that will affect our public image as a company or affect our, not bottom line or what have you. I think if something bad, let's say Uber was in talks with, and this has happened before, we have case studies for this. Verizon was buying Yahoo. And during the time that the businesses were haggling on prices and buyouts and such, it came to light that Yahoo had suffered a major breach. And that actually caused the value of their company to go down. It's not the first time that's, you know, it won't be the last time that that's happened, but that was one of the more well-known that I remember anyway. Let me see. Yahoo breach. Verizon. God damn it. I do need to get a new laptop, or not. Yeah, there you go. So after data breaches, 350 million value off of the Yahoo sale. So yeah, they got it for a steal at $4.5 billion. Okay, great. But they disclosed 2 massive data breaches in 2017, and Yahoo and Verizon finally haggled and confirmed terms. They'll pay $350 million less. So because of these 2 breaches, Verizon had them by the scruff of the neck. We'll use that one. That's probably a little safer term to use. And, you know, shook them like a rag doll and, you know, coughed up $350 million. And so if your company was working, if your company was, what's this? But what would it have cost you to prevent those breaches? Yes. 100% YTT. I would imagine at the time that the, this was going on, at least, you know, the Yahoo Verizon thing, the C-level folks at Yahoo had no idea that that would cause any damage. Right. If it was $350.01, then you would have still made money. Right. Yeah, obviously you could have implemented security for a quarter or even less than a quarter of that. Well, not even a quarter, $350 million. So you could probably make it, you know, you could probably get some decent protection, you know, for far less than that. So yes, in hindsight, this, the CEOs had taken the time to do that, they would have been $350 million richer, and the C levels would have been $350 million richer. If we're trying to move the needle for business impact, we need to figure out what our current initiatives for our organizations are, and how that might affect them in the short term. Like this, Yahoo and Verizon. Let's say your company is looking to partner with another company to create new widgets. If it's a short term, a 6-month thing that they may be entering into negotiations with, or would it have prevented the breaches? So YTT, hindsight is always, very good. We, shoulda, woulda, couldas. If they'd have spent even $1 million, would that have saved them $350 million? I don't know. If they'd have saved, 300, like you said, $350, if they would have gotten a decent endpoint security solution at that time, whatever the top of the line model was, would it have saved them money? There's a lot of variables there, right? But there was somebody at Yahoo. In this case, it was probably Alex Stamos. I believe he was the CISO there at the time, but he had left, and after he left, he became like the breach canary or something. But he, I believe, did highlight that there were some issues going on at Yahoo that the board is going to bring them up when I pitch the budget. The board is going to bring them up when I pitch the budget. There are what, like initiatives or like things that are going to affect your org when you bring up the security budget? Yes. Yeah. If you don't know, YTT is fairly high up in her organization. So if you, I don't want to give any more information than that, but I know where I kind of know where she works. But yeah, she deals with this stuff with the boards on a regular basis and has to deal with. Okay, so she's CIO. There you go. According to her wording there. So yeah, she has to deal with the board understanding these things, and she's a CIO that understands security. And that's awesome that we have folks like her that get it, right? So I think the point is, what needle are we trying to move? Is it at a program level? Is it a project level? Again, as much as I hate to admit it, having whatever goals and metrics that your org is looking for, whatever business initiatives are looking to do, if they're trying to expand into, I don't know, let's say they've never been outside the United States and they've got a weird idea to expand into, European markets or Asia Pacific markets or something like that. You're taking on additional risk there. There's certain goals that they're trying to meet. Security is going to have a part in that, whether it's going to be, let's just keep doing the same shit we're doing before, or it's going to be like, hey, we have compliance requirements that require us to buy this kit, or what have you. You're going to have to understand and kind of, come up out of your hole that you're in. If you're a security person, kind of like a prairie dog kind of thing. Talk to your managers, talk to other departments, and find out where they're heading, because there are things that you can help do, or GDPR fines are less than my security budget. The one thing about the GDPR fines, YTT, that I've thought about is they don't get fined immediately, right? It does take them 18 to 24 months. And if the fines are usually negotiated down. I don't think I've ever seen the 20% or the 20 million or 4% actually being enforced. It's always, it does appear to have been negotiated down. I can't imagine Google paying 4% of anything to the EU or to the GDPR folks. If you even get hit, if you're not a $1 zillion company, you're not worth Yeah, you're not worth chasing you around. Yeah, it's like blood from a stone, right? You're not gonna turn that down. That's burning my damn retinas. There we go. It's a little softer. Um, yeah, I mean, you got to have money to be able to be fined, right? So if you're mom and pop shop, they're not gonna, they're not gonna come after you for that. They're looking to punish the big companies. Anyway, yeah, but I just think it's important for us, even the lowly SOC analyst or the IT help desk person, to understand, at least at a high level in this case, what the initiatives are in the company. And I guess that's where, I fail as a person, because I tend to not like going to the all hands meetings, or if I do go and listen, it's kind of half-assed. I'm always over here doing something else, or oh yeah, the all hands is a reason to get back 2 hours of work where I know nobody's going to be bothering me. It does behoove us as people to actually kind of listen to that, because there may be some things that they mention about future initiatives, especially if they're like, hey, we're going to talk about upcoming strategy. Don't tell anybody. And then, there might be examples in there where you're like, hey, we're thinking about buying this new endpoint security protection thing. Should we hold off? Or when is the timeline for expanding into, Asia Pacific region? We're going to be hiring a bunch of people there. That means we're going to be needing to purchase new equipment and new infrastructure. And, there may be data sovereignty requirements that we don't know about. If you're working in Germany, all the data's got to stay in Germany, or, in France, everything's got to stay in France. So we may be buying cloud in Germany or France because that's just what they do. There's definitely local laws. You might need to, engage unions. And if YTT says, if I can ask those analysts and engineers why we do this, so I can formulate an argument to defend our budget, their brains tends to melt. They can't understand how I could be so stupid so as to just not accept that it's a requirement. Yeah, that's a communication thing, YTT. It's not they maybe it's training, lack of, the analysts and engineers, it's, I had the same problem early in my career. I didn't, and I don't know if this just comes with experience, but yeah, you ask an analyst to, understand the bigger picture, and they don't get it. Well, YTT, we can't all have the key to the corporate washroom and live on, yachts and stuff like, CIOs of companies do stuff. You've got your flying car that you get for being C-level folk at these organizations. I don't know if it comes, I don't want to say it comes with experience, because sometimes I don't see the big picture either. I've started kind of stepping back when we're in meetings talking about like really tactical things or really operational things. And I'm like, look, what's this going to look like in 6 months? I think some of that is like asking like a threat model thing. It's kind of like a threat model kind of thing. It's like, what is this going to look like in 6 months when we can do this at, when we need to be 10 times as fast? Or I think these are what if questions that like a threat modeler should ask, right? And it might actually be worth it, to start having people ask those questions in your org, or you being the person asking those questions in your org, not you specifically, anybody in particular, but if you're building something new, or you're looking to invest in a technology, or you're looking to do whatever, think about what 3, 6, 12 months is going to look like down the line. In 3 months, hopefully it will be deployed and you're still learning how to use it. In 6 months, you're going to be, in maintenance mode for this. In 12 months, in 12 months, are you going to have 5 new offices somewhere else that's also going to have that deployed? You're going to need to understand, well, 3 months ago we had these issues, those kinds of things. In 12 months, you're probably re-upping the license for the first use of this stuff. So um, it's rough. I mean, um, I didn't actually realize that, thinking ahead is also part of the threat model. When you're doing these things, what is the threats, not just in the now space, but like in the, in the future, in the fourth dimension, if you will. It's, I'm going to, own up your application now, but in 6 months, when we've added 10,000 lines of code or 500 new users, does it scale well? Is the process useful? What does this look like if I have, oh yeah, well, we have everybody put in their information. Okay, great. That's great onesie twosie, but what does that look like when 500 people are doing it at one time? Worse than budget is the security posture death of 1,000 cuts you can't advance because you're still defending yesterday's posture decisions. Yes. So YTT, what so when you say posture decisions, are you talking about like technology that you purchased that doesn't scale, or maybe you got a bum deal on a blinky box that you're never going to use? I mean, I have at organizations said, yeah, we're just not going to use that anymore. And my boss was like, well, we have a support contract for that. And I'm like, okay, great. It's a piece of shit and we're not going to use it. Or, you know what, I'm just going to kind of, I'm going to use it for something else, but I'm not going to use it for, file integrity monitoring or whatever. I can use it as a web server or something, when you say posture decisions, what can you give me an example of that? Or telling a person they can't visit sites in Russia, but somehow people need to allegedly because that's the only place they can download that service manual is in Russia. You lead an interesting life, YTT. I could get it. I get it if the employee is maybe Russian and needs the Russian version of that because, they're having trouble explaining it in English. The thought in my head that made me laugh was, well, I guess if you're going to have a Russian tank, you're going to need to go to Russian websites to get the how-to manual on how to operate it. That's where my mind went on that. Oh, Jesus. Knowing YTT's proclivity for technology of from the time where Rocky was new in theaters, I'm imagining her with like a Russian tank or something. She's like, well, I need to be able to go to Russian websites to get the manuals. Oh goodness. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, well, so far so good. On the computer here, I don't think I've had any lag. The CPU is running about 1.2%, but I've got 32 cores and I have 128 gigs of RAM. If that's all I needed to, use to run Windows, then, I'm doing pretty good. So, who would have thought? No, that's not it at all. Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's doing pretty good. I don't have to turn off the live preview stuff, so that worked out well. So, yeah. So, there we go. So yeah, there's my current CPU statistics. My GPU for my GTX 1080 Ti is running at about 35C, which isn't too bad. I do have 128 gigs of RAM in it. I was going to take out the 64 that was in it because of the memory errors, but because Linux doesn't, because Windows doesn't choke on the memory errors that are inside whatever was going on with those chips, I had already bought 64 to replace the 64 that was in there. I was just like, well, fuck it, I'll just put 128 gigs of RAM in there. So I have plenty of RAM. I fully expect to want to run a couple of VMs on it. I'll probably put, I wanted to do Proxmox, but I don't hate myself enough yet to do so. So I'm thinking I probably won't do Proxmox. I still have VMware Workstation, but I've heard some weird things going on with that. I'm not sure why everybody's using Proxmox these days, but I've got more than enough energy, more than enough muscle on this system to make it work. So we'll see what happens. So, did I just? Oh no. Okay, it's right here. Let me see. 5 key factors for selecting a managed detection and response provider. Okay, well, let's see what 5 of those are. First, you want to make sure the provider has a deep experience in detecting and responding to threats. Seriously? Okay, yeah, no. This is no. No. No, let's just skip to number 2. Second, you want to make sure that the provider can integrate with your existing security ecosystem. That one's not awful. I could definitely see that. And make sure they could have prevented the Uber breach if only you'd been, Beyond Trust, Malware Jake gave them a bit of a drubbing on Twitter. The way I'd heard the post, what he'd asked for anybody to send along emails or text messages that they'd gotten from vendors talking about how their product would have solved the Uber breach. And I believe Beyond Trust kind of took the cake because their salespeople sent the, hey, our technology could have solved the Uber breach. They sent it to an actual Uber employee with the line in there, hey, I know you're probably busy. Well, Y2T, within hours of like I said in the podcast, within hours of the Uber breach, I had received no less than 4 emails from PR companies wanting us to have their expert on talking about the Uber breach. So there's definitely a market for that, the ambulance chasing bits there. So it's interesting. It sucks really. But yeah, second, you want to make sure the provider can integrate with your existing security ecosystem. Yeah, I guess so. They're right about this though. The additional agents. A lot of organizations want an agentless solution these days. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe there's too many agents. Maybe there's not enough agents. There we go. That's more CPU. Every time you put on a new agent, that's just a little more CPU that's been borrowed from the org. And maybe that's not a good thing. I have a lot to say about it, but I'll wait until the bodies are cold. Okay. If you need to vent, our Discord's there. For those of you who don't know, discord.gg/Brakesec. It would have been in the ticker, but I didn't make a ticker for the welcome to the jungle overlay. I did like the junk car though, but anyway, that was just me. I'm waiting for Intezer at the bottom of this to say, here's how our shit can help you. Wait a minute, let me see. Okay, all right. So they're not selling that stuff. Fast response in the service level agreement that meets your requirements. Okay, well, not only will they offer it, but you can also counter offer that, you need to have this. 2 hours or less for triage and 4 hours to remediate a true positive alert. Oh God. So in our Discord could have prevented. Don't do that, YTT. You're gonna get me in trouble. You're gonna get us in trouble. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. So in 4 hours, remediating a true positive event, a lot can happen in 4 hours. I don't 2 hours or less for triage. I mean, triaging a finding in 2 minutes and 2 hours, a lot can happen in 2 hours there too. I think having a managed detection and response provider. I think if you're going to do 2 hours or 4 hours for these things, you really have to know that your own internal security controls and ecosystem can handle or withstand a 2-hour attack. And I don't mean like being banged on from the outside by your firewall or your load balancers or whatever. If somebody's actively inside your environment, like an Uber, sorry to keep using that, would their controls have survived 2 hours from their managed service provider to say, oh, hey, you know what? That's probably not a good thing. You probably should do something about that. Or, we'll fix it in 4 hours or less. Or your next pizza is free. If it takes 4 hours to remediate a true positive, I'm thinking the person who got into Uber did a lot of damage in 4 hours. So much so that he had enough time to poke around inside the Slack and go, ha ha ha, I'm a hacksaw. I'm all up in your shit. I'm physically cutting the fiber bundle. Well, wait, that's assuming, YTT, that you have a bundle of fibers that you can cut, right? I mean, I can't physically, I'd have to drive to my data center or whatever. If you have your data center at your place, then that's something, but it reminds me of the story about the vendors that want to see our cloud environment in AWS. And I was like, well, nobody goes to AWS. Nobody goes to the data centers. Well, we need to see your cage. And I'm like, yeah, no, you're never going to see that. That's the thing. But yeah, I would say if you want the benchmark to be 2 hours or less for triage and 4 hours to remediate a true positive alert, your environment needs to have a nice, healthy cushion where, let's say 6 hours, right? Because at this point, yeah, you're basically going to be told, yep, that's a problem. You probably should fix that. And they've been in your environment for 4 hours. Whatever controls you have in place needs to be like, we need to be able to withstand better than say 6 hours on the attack, or 8 hours, or it should take them 12 hours before they can brute force something or something like that. And competitive pricing, whatever. I would say good reputation. Again, I don't think anybody gives a shit about reputation. It's going to be, my opinion on reputation is that reputation is dead. Now, I think the caveat I would say for that is, what is the reputation right now? If a Mandiant, for instance, or FireEye in this case, post SolarWinds, maybe you wouldn't go with FireEye at that point, but maybe in a year and a half you would go with FireEye. What's their reputation at this point in time? Because everybody has their bad days. So, I think that's reputation is very much a, single point of time, or a small, short range of time. In this case, if I'm not saying they did, but if CrowdStrike got breached tomorrow, if a company was evaluating CrowdStrike for, and they'd been breached, maybe the company wouldn't buy CrowdStrike. So in the near term, yeah, you're going to lose stuff. You're going to lose stuff. But in a year, nobody's going to give a shit. They're going to be right back there talking to CrowdStrike as soon as CrowdStrike's PR and marketing teams can, synergize the paradigms and, get in the upper right of quadrant of the Gartners again. Is there anything else that they missed on here, YTT? I can slurp about 10 terabytes from your network in 4 hours on my home connection. 100%. I mean, and the people, according to the initial reports from Uber, they scooped up 1.1 petabytes of data, which I was like, I don't know how many 18-year-olds have access to petabytes worth of storage. unless they're putting it in some kind of Amazon Glacier or something like that. But even then, I'm thinking a petabyte of data is going to be a lot to snarf up, or S3. I actually, if I put it in dev null, then it's forever. Hey, Super Lolly, no, you're not late. I kind of started on time ish. So hey, Super Lolly. Still a still a petabyte sized S3 bucket, I think, would be noticed. I don't know how much storage AWS has, but maybe if you just use dev null, then it'll be a ways to get in there. But did they forget anything? Other than deep experience, because it's like, okay, great, yeah, this should be, do you know things or do you not know things, or do you know how to find things? Integrating with your existing security ecosystem, that's somewhat legit. I can imagine that. Because but the caveat to number 2 is there any org or any MDR that doesn't integrate with all of the endpoint security systems? Oh, sorry, we don't integrate with Mandiant. Well, why not? They should all be, they should all connect that way. Your MDR should be, able to use any and all of your endpoints. And I'm sure their marketing and their salespeople will be more than willing to help you integrate that way if you want to. Fast response, yeah, that makes sense. Good reputation, yeah. Competitive pricing. Is there anything else? If I'm hiring them, they need to know more than me. 100% YTT. That's, the deep experience. They have access to threat intelligence that how's their dark web access? Are they, what do they run there for? So I would say 3 of these 5 are good. I mean, competitive pricing, whatever. And deep experience should be given. Otherwise, they're probably not a very good at MBR, but looks can be deceiving. Yeah. So let's see here. Vulnerability management is something that I came from. I came from vulnerability management. Why do organizations? I'm afraid to read this doc because considering the director of product management wrote this. When I say wrote it, I mean he put his name on it and somebody else wrote it, because he doesn't have time to write this shit, especially something that's 4 minutes long. Cybersecurity attack service grows exponentially, modern technology, blah, 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 blah. Question is why? I mean, current practice of identifying, classifying, prioritizing, remediating has become strained and ineffective in many organizations. Yes, it has. YTT says, I have trust issues. If my network fails, it's my ass. If my network fails for them, it's just less work when we leave. So another thing I need is a contract with teeth. If they miss something, they got to pay. Yeah, see, okay. So penalties. If, takes them 4 hours to identify a true positive issue, and, now, your network controls only lasted 3 hours. So now they've got everything. Hey, this was a bad thing. You probably should do something. And then it's like, oh yeah, we've noticed exfiltration for the last 2.5 hours. That's going to be a problem. Yep. It definitely was an attack. Oh yeah. They've already slurped a terabyte of your data out. So, it's kind of a moot point by the time they've done this. So they say 4 challenges that complicate patch management: too many tools, internal misalignment, long mean time to remediate, and a cyber risk crisis. According to the Verizon DBIR, the increase in ransomware attacks was more than the last 5 years combined. It's not the ransomware that's the problem. It's the vulnerabilities that they're using to make that happen. Right? SLAs are worthless. If my ISP goes down for an hour, they owe us $170. If they go down for a day, they owe us $170. Yeah. That's true. That's true, YTT. Yeah, so if they're going to be down for an hour, they might as well be down for a day, is what you're saying. So if they can't get it back up within an hour, then what's the impetus? Right. But you saved $170, right? So there you go. That's awesome. 0-day exploits reached an all-time high in 2021, more than doubling from 2020. Okay. I guess that's fair. Faster weaponization of exploits has accelerated with greater speed and greater quantity. Is that because the tooling has gotten better to weaponize these things, or that's a question to ask. Days after NVIDIA publication that exploit weaponization occurs, down to 2 days from 352. Okay. I have words about that one. I think it depends on the type of vulnerability. It may have taken 352 days. I think it's because there's more 18-year-olds looking to make their mark on the Reddits. That could be fair, YTT. The reason it took 2 days for Log4j or Log4Shell was because I think it really depends on the kind of vulnerability, right? I would have to. So let me see how I put this. Maybe in 2018 there wasn't a vulnerability that was as easily weaponizable as Log4Shell was. That's what I'm trying to say right there. Maybe it did take 352 days because at the time the technology needed to weaponize those things didn't exist or was very piecemeal. So what do you do when things are piecemeal and it's a pain in the ass to make things happen? You automate it, right? So, obviously we see, I'd say the biggest jump was from 126 to 50, no, probably from 51 to 9 days. Yeah, I mean, this is 400% change here, but this is almost a 1,000% decrease. I think the barrier to entry is diminished. Learning has accelerated. Tools have advanced. Communications have improved. Yes. Yeah. It's sad when the bad guys communicate better than your own internal teams do or your stakeholders. Yeah, it's on a power curve. Yeah. I mean, at this point, it can't get no faster than about 1 or 2 days because it does. Right now, you're just dealing with the, automated scanners maybe can find something. The thing is, you don't need new vulnerabilities, right? They didn't need Log4Shell turned around in 2 days to make it happen. They just bide their time, and in 9 days they would have had something, or it would have been like if they'd hidden it right here, it'd have been about 3 days or something. Do they need it in 2 days? I mean, if the DBIR says it still takes 100+ days to find somebody, that means you're still, what was this, 2018, 2019, 2020? You're still in 2020 timeframes of deploying and detecting, people and things and removing them from your environment in some cases. Remediation times. The faster you have the tool, the more you're likely to score the payout from breaching the companies. That's true. And, you have to be it's almost like first to market, right? You have to be the first to breach. Otherwise you're not, or the first to ransomware that org, or you're going to lose out. Maybe it's a competition for all the ransomware companies. Average time to remediation for top 10 vulns. And that's assuming that all top 10 of the vulns affect your environment there. So unscalable security and IT processes. But we have the cloud, right? So everything is scalable in the cloud. Maybe we've just expanded too quickly. Kept up with the pace. I take umbrage with this. The small to medium IT lack available staff. Larger enterprises have too many IT assets to patch quickly. I take umbrage with the lack of available staff. Again, I think we're not hiring properly here. 4 actions. Okay, so Qualys is going to tell us 3 things and then buy Qualys or something. Let me see here. Look for flexibility. Vulnerabilities is not equal to patch, right? Remediation can take many forms. Look for a solution that is flexible and can support deploying patches, configuration changes, updates to third-party applications. The problem I have with that is not every third-party application or vendor, the write-ups are crap, right? Log4Shell, did we have good write-ups on what could cause that? There were actually, I think the first week or so, people being the white hats, were still trying to figure out how it actually affects people and things. Super Lolly says, there's an article, if I recall, saying businesses to not have IT because everything can be on cloud, no need to worry about security, data loss, etc., because cloud providers will handle it. Super Lolly, there is a line of thinking there where you're transferring those risks to the cloud provider. There's it's not just IT. There's like certain, like I believe Jira. Is it Jira that I was thinking of? Jira removes on-prem. No, that's not. Yeah, Atlassian server end of life. Yes, February 15th, 2024. They are getting rid of on-prem Atlassian and on-prem Atlassian stuff. Right. So everything is going to be in the cloud. I remember working at CrowdStrike when Nessus, the vulnerability scanner, was like, yeah, we're no longer going to support on-prem servers or instances. Everything's going to be in the cloud. And my CISO was like, yeah, no, y'all can GTFO. We're gonna continue using this. I think that happened before I had it, after I left. So I don't know what they were doing beforehand, but what YTT makes a good point. The risk is transferred. The responsibility for the risk, or transferring the responsibility, but not the risk. There is still a risk, but yeah, you're hoping that the cloud providers have security controls or changes the how do I say this? Changes the conditions by which something could be attacked so that it doesn't work for them anymore. But, things like network access controls are still in, EC2 instances, VPCs. I don't know what all they have for Google, but whatever the equivalent Google or Azure stuff is, you're still responsible for network access controls or egress and ingress filtering or, load balance configurations. You still have to patch your own stuff. If even going to things like Docker is not a panacea. You still have to deal with making sure that your instances are updated on a regular basis and that you're getting rid of them and updating the new stuff. And that comes with a ton of compliance requirements. But yeah, Atlassian is one well-known one that all of their stuff is going to move away, and you're not going to have an on-prem Jira. There's a lot of people saying Exchange. You should not be running an on-prem Exchange anymore because it's a pain in the ass to manage and patch that because it's a high availability thing. You never get an ugly email until your CEO can't email you, or why is my email down, or why can I not access various things on our environment like my email? Well, email's down because we got a patch. Well, I don't want you patching anymore because I need my email. That's why They suggest, everybody's suggesting, getting rid of your on-prem exchange and just using, Azure Exchange or whatever. It's, I mean, for availability purposes, yeah, it's great, but, yeah. Anyway, looking for flexibility, that's a good one. Tame complexity with automation. To a point, there are some things that just literally cannot be automated. I would say you can always try. Take a risk-based approach. Emails down because the cloud provider says it is. What are you doing about it? It's yeah. No. Hey, you know what? That's transferring the responsibility, isn't it? There, YTT. IT can't do shit. Hey, look, I can only work as fast as Azure AD or whatever. Taking a risk-based approach. Isn't this the same shit we've heard for years, though? Prioritize vulnerabilities and patches from a risk-driven perspective. What are the threats that pose the greatest risk to you? See, this comes back to business impact, right? And security is not doing a good job of that. Or, there may be a great impact, but the company is not ready to allow you to patch in a certain amount of time or what have you. Well, wait a minute, Super Lolly, how did you get those messages? Because if Teams is down, how? No, I'm just messing. It must be glorious when things like Teams or email goes down because it's like I can get shit done, right? Strive for better alignment between cybersecurity and IT teams. Collaboration starts with working off a single source of truth for assets and vulnerabilities that need to be discovered, assessed, prioritized, and remediated. The CEO, the CEO can't. Well, the CEO will be trying to email you from, or, sending out. I think Y2T, you make a good excuse of why you need a WhatsApp or something, some kind of encrypted comms that's outside of your cloud environment that you can poke at for like status reports or something like that. No more complex handoff processes, non-normalized and or inconsistent data, and disagreements on what needs to be tackled first. This alignment helps use resources more efficiently, lowers costs, and minimizes exposure time. One of the other things that I'm thinking about is there's a lot of organizations where it feels like security is responsible and accountable for things, when in fact, maybe they don't need to be. And I'm saying this from personal experience because I'm living that right now, where we're getting people used to the fact that security maybe should be in a consulted and informed kind of capacity, almost like a submit a ticket to tell us what to do in this case. And it's up to the responsibility of the individual teams to decide when they're going to patch things. I don't know how. Oh, so there you go. YTT uses Signal. There you go. When you change who's responsible for something, because right now it's like I'm the driver of things, and then it's like I don't have the resources. It's like, oh, you need to patch this stuff, and that's all we can do. We could just yell and scream into the wind. IT teams have their own priorities. They set their own priorities, but we come in like seagulling and shit on whatever it is they're doing. No, stop whatever you're doing, work on my stuff now, like a petulant 5-year-old. If we basically gave them the rope to hang themselves with, and in many cases where it's like, look, this needs to be patched, I'll let you figure out when you're going to patch it, or come to us if you have issues getting these things patched. We as the security people can help you move this along or help get you unblocked, and have, real support from our own security management, which is something that I haven't had in a while. I think it makes more sense, but it also means that security turns into like a big ass ITIL kind of thing, where it's like, service-based org, where it's like we're pretty much consulting on everything. I have to go. I don't mean to be abrupt about this, but I do realize it's almost 5 o'clock my time. I do have to cook dinner. As CIO, I'm just going to go redacted myself. Okay, no worries there, YTT. But I'm just, think about that when a lot of us feel like that. It's like, oh, I tell them to patch these things, but they don't do it and whatever. And it's because we don't have any real power in our organizations like that, and we think we do. And what I'm trying to figure out is consulted and informed means that we're not responsible and accountable for making sure these things are done. We can't be everything in the RACI chart, and we can't be the one responsible for patching things. So the patch management program should not be a security-led thing. Maybe this patch management should be the IT and infrastructure folks, with us being consulted on, should we run this patch, or which patches should we run first, or something like that. Just thinking about that in the terms of that, and from a upper lower middle management kind of position, where I've had no power, and it just kind of came to me recently with this. I think it depends on the size of your org there, YTT. If you're a CIO of a 50-person company, maybe you might be wearing a lot of hats anyway. But ideally, I would hope there's a security manager or somebody who can actually help push that around. So, let's go see. You know what? I'm not fucking around with it today. I've already tempted fate enough on this. But yeah, I just, think about that. If you feel powerless at your org, maybe it's because you are, and you need to maybe work with your IT folks to get them to actually be responsible and accountable for things instead of the security department. And maybe open up the lines of communication in a consulting kind of manner on how to go about patching things, or, to change how your ship functions in this case. So just a thought, but I'd love to hear feedback on our Discord, discord.gg/Brakesec. YTT will be in there. She's the infamous in there. Otherwise, hope everyone has a good day. Take care of yourselves. And I don't have I'm done. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back to the coming soon here. But yeah, have a great day. And we'll talk to you again on Friday. So see y'all. Have a good one. Bye.